Welcome to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is your podcast for all things hockey. On this podcast, we talk about past history to the modern day and what you can do to grow the sport. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. All right, let's get to the show. And welcome back to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is episode 39. With me today is Ben Coleman. How are you, Ben?
Good.
Back again. And who knows? Maybe he'll become a co-host. What do you think of that?
Nice.
Okay. All right. Yeah, just let me know. All right, so this episode is going to be about Ovi's stats. We're going to go into the scoring, who's going to win the scoring title. We'll talk about 200-point players and assist leaders, goal leaders, all that jazz currently. But first we need to talk about hydration. So I was at my beer league game, and I got 2 assists, first 2 points, 2-point game of my beer league season. So that's nice. But yours truly drank 34 ounces of water, but somehow got dizzy because he didn't have enough electrolytes. And I definitely needed, and I wish I had some Gatorade on there, or I like ate a bag of potato chips just to get the salt in me, just to get some electrolytes going. But like I had to sit down and I was out there early, so I went out there at like 7:35, skated for 25 minutes straight to warm up, and then I went hard every single time, like 10 times, so like at least. But I was out there for 3-minute shifts. Your boy was out there for 3-minute shifts because, one, we don't go on face-offs. So if there's a shot, you're still skating because it's like basketball in the sense of that you let the defense take it out, sort of thing, when you don't have a ref. And this is why you need refs in beer league, is to make sure that you got the face-offs in the offensive zone, because a hockey team should work on breaking that out.
Yeah.
So,
how do you make that work?
How do you make that
work in your league?
The offensive team has to back off and go out of the offense zone, and then they defend again, which makes no sense in hockey. It's not basketball too. Like if you miss a shot too, it's not like pickup basketball at all. But it's not supposed to be. But what it should be is that you need a ref in hockey probably more than you need it in basketball. Just my opinion. So
it seems like it defeats the purpose of getting the puck in deep if you're just going to hand it to the defenseman. Sure.
Well, I mean, like you take the shot on the goalie, and if the goalie catches it or something, or just blocks it, it's that goalie can cover up and then hand it off to one of her defenders, and then they can take it out, and it's a load of crap, and we don't always have a referee, so that's what we do when you don't have a referee, and you have paid $26 a night, like that is the price per game, and it's ridiculous too. I'm probably going to go back to open hockey soon enough.
That's something that referees. Yeah. It's something these days, because obviously, I think it's interesting to a certain extent. I mean, one, obviously there's the money and all, but some on a slight bit of a tangent, but maybe not that far, something that growing up in these days that has bothered me and frankly should bother everyone in a lot of sports, not just hockey, is that fewer and fewer people want to become referees. Because even from really younger leagues with younger players, refs have become just like parents and spectators have started to become so abusive to referees to the point where, like, it's not the NHL. We're talking about, pretty young kids, and everyone's, not everybody, but there are a lot of spectators yelling and being abusive at the refs. And now fewer and fewer people want to be refs, which obviously hurts the sport. I mean, someone growing up, I get it. Like, I had my moments where I was not too pleased and confess I yelled at a ref or two. But I think we really do need to recognize that for the good of the sport and the fact that when we have middle schoolers playing, no one's being scouted for the NHL, that if we really want the game to continue to flourish and grow, we need to be more respectful to the referees. And on top of just the money to pay for them, we want people to, we need more of them and we need them. So just on that side note, I think everyone, regardless of whether they're a parent, they're a sibling, they're just there to watch the game, need to be a little more respectful of referees, especially in these younger leagues when they're referees. In most cases, are not getting paid to do this. It's completely voluntary, and especially in those situations, people need to be more respectful of referees. Again, it's not everybody, but it's enough to make it a problem, and not just hockey, but most sports. I've seen this in soccer too.
Yeah. 100%. And that is why when you go to the email sign up, that's why I have the Google Doc for the referee guide on how to become a ref, and I have all the links there. And if you do sign up to rothsteina.substack.com, you can learn how to become a ref. And I never did become a ref for whatever reason. I kind of wish I did learn at some point, and there was a little bit of a time too, but it just didn't happen for me because, and I don't know if we were not encouraged to growing up, but I do think we need to find more referees, and it's not too late for me. I'm gonna be 29 in February. Like you got so much time too. I mean, if you can skate, yeah, you can do it too. So I'll definitely take a look at seeing if I can get certified one of these days of becoming a referee. So I'll take a look at that, and I'll get some practice in there as well. So I guess continuing on, let's just go back to dehydration. Gatorade is definitely one of the best things, and you can also find some alternatives with low sugar, which I recommend. Also, if you're having pasta or something, sprinkle a little salt on that. Sprinkle a little extra salt on your pasta, your spaghetti and meatballs before you head to the rink. That should help as well. And also don't be afraid to purchase some extra Gatorade bottles or Powerade bottles or whatever you're drinking. All right. Moving on. Your favorite player of all time, Benjamin, Alexander Ovechkin, he has a total of 26 goals. Last night, they faced Les Canadiens, and he got his 30th hat trick ever. And I think
second of the
he's
season, I think. Yeah,
second of the
second of the
season,
season.
and he is 3 away from passing Brett Hull. He would have 33 at that point, and Hull has 32. And he is 89 goals away from passing Gretzky. And he can certainly, and if he gets to 835 this year,
89
that
or
means
99.
what?
89 or 99.
89 total goals away from passing Gretzky as
Wow.
well. So,
That's
which is
flying
insane
by.
to think about. So, if he gets to 835, he would have 55 goals on the season, and then he would, and then potentially if he pushes it enough, which I don't see him scoring 60 goals. If he scores 60 goals next year, that's going to be insane as well, because he would be in his age 38 season. So I really would like to know if, if he does it, that next year would be insane as well. But I'm definitely gonna see him at like 50, maybe 52 goals. But what do you think? Where do you think he will fall at the end of the season?
Yeah, so earlier we were talking about when the All-Star game was, because that's about the mid halfway point of the season, roughly, maybe a little bit past. That's not till I looked it up. I believe it's not till February 4th, 2023. So that was probably a little bit past the halfway point this year. But yeah, as you said, this year he's at 26 goals and 19 assists already. Now we're at the beginning of 2023, so maybe a little bit short of the halfway point. So I think it's definitely beyond realistic for him to pass 50 this year, maybe somewhere between, I'd argue 52 and 58, give or take a couple of goals. Will he pass 60 like he did that one year? I don't think so. But he's on a roll. He has 2 hat tricks this season already. He had the one in Chicago where he got to 800, and then he had the hat trick in the Capitals 9-2 win yesterday over the Canadians, which was a little embarrassing if I was
right now
Canadians, but
and right now
Josh
he's
Allen.
And right now he's tied for third place. I'm gonna bring this up in a moment. We're gonna take a look at this. And I do want to dive into let's see here, the assist leaders as well. So we're not looking there, we're looking here. Here's sound, optimizer video. Okay, perfect. So we've got Nikita Kucherov, we got there, and if I can
With McDavid, it looks like.
Yeah, McDavid. So McDavid is still ahead. He's played a total of 38 games already. So, and I'm gonna move us out of there. And you can see that he's got like 72 already. So 38 times. So he's averaging about 1.5 points a game, and his buddy Leon Drysdale is at 57 points, and Kucherov is at 53. And Kucherov has been sort of this dark horse to win the scoring title. I guess he is my dark horse at this point. But I think McDavid's going to finish this out strong. He could potentially wind up with another 90 points as well. So he would be like the 5th highest of all time this year as well. But definitely take a look. But let's take a look at the complete list of point leaders as well. Now, nowadays, you do not see a 100 point like if you see 100-point player, like he's going to be signing bonus contracts, getting extensions, and he could definitely raise your ticket revenue easily. Let's take a look at who we got now in terms of potential 100-point players. Everyone here from Elias Pettersson all the way there. Even Ovechkin can certainly get there as well. But Nugent Hopkins as well has been just maintaining that consistency for so long. But Ben, I want to get your opinion on this. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 7 players already that have at least 50 points. And we're not halfway at the season yet. How many 100-point players do you see? How many players do you see finishing this season with 100 points?
Let's see. I think aside from McDavid, there's no question about that one. Draisaitl will get there. I mean, even when he's not put on a line with McDavid, they've got that power play. He's a good player, more than a good player. He'll get there. Confident that Kucherov will. I think he's been injured in the past year, if I recall correctly. Seems like that hasn't stopped him. There's no question he'll get there. He's always been consistent. As far as Robertson, I don't know. I don't know much about him. Maybe just because he's in Dallas and Caps only see Dallas twice a year. Kaprizov, he's 45. That's a maybe. Pasternak, I think he has a shot. Carlson, I don't know. And Tage Thompson, again, I don't know a whole lot about him.
Tage Thompson.
I know that Buffalo's been on quite the run. Something that I would not have been able to say for the last 15 years. But
Tage Thompson had a 5-goal game. I've got to give him credit for that. He found some video game cheat code where he scored 5 goals. Apparently, like you're going back to the 90s and the 80s when that was common, but he did that once. He has 5 from one game too, 5 goals from one game. And I think he finished the night with 6 points as well. So he could definitely do it as well. So I think definitely Pasternak could certainly do it. We're not halfway there yet, even though he's only played 36 games. I'm assuming he missed a couple. Thompson missed some as well, according to this, but I think the only one that's been consistent enough has been Robertson and McDavid in terms of their playing games. And then Ovechkin, because I don't see him getting to 50 goals without playing every single game. I do think maybe he could take off a day, but that would be it. So I'm not going to see it there.
Ovechkin's always been a consistent player. I mean, he's amazing at staying healthy. Frankly, the only time in the season that he doesn't play is the game, 1 or 2 games before the end of the regular season, so he doesn't get hurt for the playoffs. But he'll get there. He had a cold pat. He was kind of cold for a few games between the Chicago hat trick when he got to 800, and then this past week when he got to 802, I guess. Yeah.
If he gets to 55 goals and 45 assists, then he'll have it. And there's still a lot of hockey to play as well.
Caps are on a roll now. They've won, I think, something along the lines of 10 of their last 11, give or take.
All right. So I guess All right. Well, I'll expand on those questions. McDavid, who do you go in there? I'm going to stop sharing right now. So you would have to say at this point that McDavid is going to win the scoring title.
Scoring title, probably. Points, no question whatsoever. As far as goals go, McDavid probably, but Thompson, we'll see. If he's just getting like big chunks of goals, that's not going to do it in the NHL. He needs to actually be consistently scoring, not getting 2-3 goals there, 5 goals there. That's not going to do it in the NHL. Now, McDavid, just given his age and where he's already at in the last couple of seasons, he'll probably outscore Ovechkin, but we'll see about that. I wouldn't make that call just yet. But there's no question that McDavid is tearing it up, and there's the best in the Western Conference. And once Ovechkin retires, whenever that is, he'll be the best in the league, at least actively.
Yeah. I was looking this up before we got on, and I don't think we're ever going to see a 215 point player again. I think the fact that that this happened when it did, let me get this up real quickly. I think the fact that when Gretzky came in the 80s, you saw so much. He had 73 goals one season. He had 92 goals here. He had 163 assists there. But apparently, if you look through this, he's focused more on either the assists or the goals. But in 7, hold on. Let's see. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, in 11 of the 12, in the 11 of the 12 highest scoring players of all time, Gretzky has it, or had 112 assists. That's how good he was. But I don't we don't see players get 100 assists. You're lucky if you're going to be lucky enough if you see 10 of those guys that we just showed you get 100 points. 10 of them. If 10 of them get 100 points, that's crazy. McDavid could certainly get to 164 points, but he's going to need to push it as well. But I'm trying to think of when the last time that happened. Yeah, the last time it appeared, according to this, as I think 1991 was the last time.
Oh.
According to this, according to that was, and then everything just goes down. We go to page 2, where you will see our current players, and yes, well, Doug Gilmour getting 95 too as well. But there was only Bobby Orr and Wayne Gretzky were the only ones to get 100 assists in a season. And it's crazy too, of just how good they were. But I guess I have 2 questions for you. Are we ever going to see a 200-point player again? And are we going to see a player ever get 100 assists again? Are my questions to you.
200-point, no. The game, like that, and also before I explain, I'll answer the other one too. 100 assists, unlikely. I wouldn't say no. reason for I say that no one's going to get to 200 points again is, in all reality, that would either imply somewhere they'd have to get, for the 200 points, you'd have to get probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 goals, 100 assists, give or take, plus or minus maybe 10, 20 of one or the other. And in this day and age, defense is stronger, goalies are stronger, the approach is different. We're just not going to get there no matter who comes in and plays. I think that's just a fact of the matter where we are there. Do I think that there's a possibility for someone to get to 100 assists or at least close to that? I think it's possible. I think it's unlikely, but you never know. I mean, so we've already had some really good passers in the league now, and all it takes is one excellent passer. So you never know for sure, but I think in this day and age, 1,000 assists is unlikely.
100 assists, but
that's what I mean. Yeah, sorry, 100 assists.
I mean,
that still seems
but actually, let's go into that. Good segue there. Crosby is we're gonna go to regular season, most points in. We can go to the all-time records if this thing will load. Okay, so most assists. We're gonna look at this. He has 916 assists, and there are a couple players here. If he does it he could certainly do it within 15 games of passing Mikita's all-time assist record, and he's already passed Phil Esposito's record, but there's that as well, and he passed Teemu Selanne's as well, and that is something special. Both of them, both Ovechkin and Crosby, just like switch so many times of who's going to be the higher point scorer and everything. I think Crosby's going to be the higher point scorer at the end of his career. At the end of both of their careers, you're going to see that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But yeah, but he's close. He's not going to get 1,000 assists this year. I think he's going to wind up with, let's see. He should be able to pass Ron Francis if he goes to his age 40 season. He should definitely be able to do it, and then I guess he would turn 41 later on or something. So if he does that, he would have to average, let's see, 40 times 4 is 160 assists, or another 200. I don't know if he's going to pass Ron Francis in assists at all, but if he plays to his age 42 season, I think he could do it. He could get to 280 there, and he could certainly get close though. But yeah, he's not. Yeah, but I don't think he's passing.
He might give Messi a run for his money.
Messi,
Cisco with 1,193.
I mean, well, the second most all time right here, according to this, is Ron Francis, and he had tremendous success in Pittsburgh. Don't forget it. Like he's got Stanley Cups to his name. Messi. But there's that. You got as well. And I think if Crosby wasn't injured for those seasons, or if he played in more of the games as well, it certainly could have helped him as well. And remember, both Crosby and Ovechkin had to deal with the 2005 lockout, the 2004-2005 lockout as well. So there's that.
And I'd also say something that's an interesting factor that you kind of have to think about, because it's harder for the players to control, is the kind of we were discussing this the other day, that the teams that the other players that were on their team, like for example, think about their entire careers. Not to shame my own franchise, but for first number of Ovechkin's years with the Caps were not good, and they just did not have much talent. And it wasn't until, obviously there's Semin, Backstrom, those Green, some of them had their own problems. Green kept screwing up and turning the puck over. Semin took sick penalties every other game. But Caps started to build that skill. Sidney Crosby, while the Penguins weren't always phenomenal, they were better, and oftentimes I'd argue he had more skill around him consistently. Whereas it took a number of years for the Caps really to get close to that. And obviously that definitely played a factor in the number of Stanley Cups each of them have, because it really takes a deep lineup for that. So you have to look at that, and then the two of them. So maybe that has something to do with the assists, but I guess as far as goals, it didn't really impact it, but that probably would impact the assists number when you have more other talented forwards.
1963 divided by 20. Can you? I'm gonna grab my phone here.
Yeah, I need a calculator. I'm not a math person.
Yeah. Don't worry. Don't worry. We're gonna see, as well. And 1963 divided by 20. 98.15 assists. That's what Gretzky averaged, and we don't see a 100 assist player again. And Gretzky was not as good as he was. He's his age slowed him down as well. And I guess when Juan Brodeur came into the league, they really did find a way to he struggled against Juan, he struggled against Brodeur, but I guess it was a new era for him. But
yeah,
he's still considered the great one for a reason.
Yeah. The player, especially like Brodeur, they slowly changed the game and more followed with, and it became more of a goal. The way the goalies played the game changed. The way the defense played the game eventually changed. Maybe not till a number of years into Ovechkin and Crosby's career, because Ovi started scoring 65 goals a season, and we didn't have so many 6-2, 6-3 games, and getting more team to scoring 2 or 3 a game more consistently, because it became more of a defensive game like it is now, which just sort of begged the question whether or not if I keep mixing my stars up. If Gretzky was playing today, if he was in the league today facing Ovechkin, what would the numbers look like? Obviously, it's something that's kind of impossible to really know. It's like comparing apples to oranges. That being said, I think you really have to think about he'd be dang good. Gretzky would still be really dang good, but would he be idolized? His talent be idolized as much as it is after his great career today? If his career was this day and age. And I'm not so sure I could confidently say that it would have been so great that the entire NHL would have retired his number. The
I
team,
don't think it would.
one of his teams would, maybe all of his teams would, but I don't think the NHL would go that far. I'm confident they'll go that far with Ovechkin. I don't see them not doing it, but with Gretzky, I don't know. And that's not to hate on the great one. It's trying to think about if these were on the same playing field, so to speak. I don't know.
So I don't think it would be worthy enough to retire his numbers, certainly. I don't think he would even get 2,000 points as well. There was just so much of a difference as well. Now, he played with a wooden stick for essentially all of his career. And when we started to get composite sticks as a part of the game, would his shot be better? Yeah, it would. How would that affect it on the butterfly goalies? Hard to say, but you could definitely see, if you go to the highlights, the goalies could not pass for beer league this year. They couldn't do it. They could, because they were not unable to do the butterfly. And I guess that's why even after the late 50s, early 60s of the Tony Espositos and the Glenn Halls of the world, no one wanted to do a butterfly. No one wanted to get uncomfortable enough to be the greatest. And you would think that with, hockey players are supposed to be tough, they didn't want to do a butterfly. They didn't want to just have a very, uncomfortable position. It is tough, believe me. Like most people can't do that now. They can't. And that's why I never became a goalie as well. Let me know if you want to jump in here.
Yeah, I just say that. These days the goalies, especially the good ones, make it look easy, but in all reality, doing the splits, it's hard enough as it is, let alone doing it fast enough to stop a puck going like 80, 90 miles an hour at you while moving your glove and everything. That's a whole different story. I don't think goalies get enough credit for that. And it's definitely a huge adjustment and it took time. But yeah, I can definitely see and support the argument that goalies that spent so many years playing a different way, that to make that change overnight, just probably a little much. And on top of that, this really wasn't, from my view, a change of a couple goalies changing their mind or one learning for the next, but rather it's a generational change. And I think that's how a lot of sports change. That's how the defense changed. It wasn't a couple seasons, A
generational change, indeed. You look at lacrosse, you look at field hockey. They ain't doing the stand-up. They're still in like their stand-up era. I don't think the lacrosse goalies could do it, or the field hockey goalies could do it. One, they don't have any skates to push themselves over. That actually leaves them vulnerable to giving up more goals. So they're forced to actually be stand-up.
And they're playing on turf. You can't slide on turf. And
exactly.
And sliding, it makes it, I'd imagine it makes it easier. I don't do it so much now, but I might want to get back into it if I'm going to play. But I used to do yoga, and I can tell you, the rougher the carpet is, the harder it is to really stretch out and do splits without it hurting like hell. So I'd argue. So, but yeah, imagine on being that turf. I guess most people have probably played, either if they played football or just been gym class and playing soccer or football or whatever on the school's football field or whatever. It's that type of surface is not the kind of thing where the easiest thing to make go into the splits like that.
It's not at all. Now, would they plop down to do it? Of course, to stop the ball or object, they probably would do that. Of course, I think if the butterfly era was never invented, I do think, you would have a lot more people willing to be goalies as well, and you wouldn't have always seen, beer league teams, go without a goalie sometimes, or these or certain leagues go without a goalie, or as well. The stand-up era was interesting. You had goalies like Ron Hextall and Mike Richter, who still dominated that era as well. And it probably, the reason why you didn't see 100-mile-an-hour slap shots from either Ovechkin or Chara is because the composite stick was not there yet. And had it been there, it just would have been all the more harder for goalies to stop it. And once you got to the 90s as well, you still had goalies getting above 900 of the save percentage as well. And I definitely think it would have been more interesting. Maybe you could have had some sort of a combination of it. Like you have the inside part of your calf plop down, but you sort of like shift over with one as well. And but it's not completely, but one calf is not completely down. But it definitely could have worked worked well. And I definitely do see that like no goalie, unless a goalie is very young and new, would you see him or her be a stand-up goalie. You can't even do that in beer league anymore, of being a stand-up goalie as well. What else can we go into as well before we get off this? I've got that there. We can talk about the goalie wins and save percentage. Let's go on to ESPN.com real quickly. And I've got everything there, and we're going to talk about this. All right, so in terms of the goalies, you got this. Linus Ullmark of the Boston Bruins is at 938. That's insane. Craig Anderson is at 922 for Buffalo. Ilya Sorokin of the Isles is at 926. He's actually been proven to do well this year. And if you listen to Locked On Isles, he talks about Gil Martin talks about him more than Varlamov as well. Then you have Kochetev and Hellebuck there.
Can you click on the complete leaders?
Complete leaders for save percentage?
Yeah.
Save percentage.
Yeah.
We're going to see as well. Yeah, and this is as this is loading. There we go. You have Jake Ottinger, Andre Vasilevsky is tied for 6 as well with him. But I guess it's more of the goals against average where he's tied, and he sort of had more saves as well, but more as well, and then I guess saves, but
Yeah, I'll say I'm not surprised to see Darcy Kemper where he is. Give a couple of weeks ago would have been a heck of a lot lower, but it seems like Caps goaltending has really got it together. Lindgren, who started off the year like we knew he was going to be the backup, probably wasn't going to play that much. Didn't have very high expectations. Heck, I'd never heard of him before. Kemper got hurt a week or two ago. He came in, played 5 straight games, and won almost every single one of them. He was phenomenal in the game against Winnipeg, where Ovechkin broke the record. He's obviously, I think part of why he's 19 is likely the amount of games he's played. He's had a couple rough ones. That being said, I imagine as the Capitals keep climbing up in the standings, as they clearly have been, they were well out of the playoff picture about a month ago. Given how solid for the most part the goaltending has been, I would bet you that both Darcy Kemper and Charlie Lindgren are gonna climb in these stats from where they are right now.
Okay, definitely. And I guess we'll go back one more time. We're going to talk a little. I mean, your goalie is probably the most important player on the ice, more than the scorer, even though you need to score goals to win games. But I mean, but the goalies nowadays are just talking about more of the mechanic. They have to be the best athletes in the world to do that and move on ice or on rollerblades as well. I would like to find. There's a reason why Yadier Molina never did that when he was a catcher. It's never, he never did that at all. You don't. But like again, they're on the dirt as well, but could they do that? How many professional athletes right now, aside from like the 64 or 66 goaltenders in the NHL right now, aside from those guys, how many professional athletes could do a butterfly drop and get up quickly? Now, I'm not even talking about blocking the pucks. I'm talking about like the some of the NFL players could actually damage their knees because of the weight they're carrying. NBA players, I don't see them doing it. You might be able to find an MLB catcher or two that could do it, but I think this is the hardest position in all of sports to play as well. It's the hardest position in sports to play as well, and I do think that that this era has been very hard for kids to break in and play goalie as well. But let me get your take. Let me get your take.
Yeah. And on top of that, I'd say for better or worse, perhaps for worse, psychologically speaking, whether or not plenty of us who have probably played, I'm sure goalies aren't a huge fan of this, but it seems that when someone scores, everyone blames the goalie first. And obviously, a lot of teams look to the goalies because oftentimes their stats, just because you win or lose by how many goals you score, and the stats, the defense are not the ones that get charged when the goal is scored. That being said, I do feel like fans and everyone, especially people who have not been on the ice, who have not played hockey or not for extended periods of time, really do need to at least to a certain extent, understand that for the just for a puck to go in the net, it has to get past all of the other people, all the skaters that are on the ice. So it seems simple, but everyone's so quick to blame the goalie. But then you gotta, before you do, think about where was this defenseman? What was the forward doing? Were they doing what they were supposed to be doing? Because oftentimes, especially on plays from like turnovers and stuff like that, I mean, it's not completely the goalie's fault. Everyone needs to take accountability, and the fans should be proponents of that too. Because while the stats at the end of the day, the goalie's gonna have to pay for that with their GAA and their save percentage. It's not entirely their fault when the defenseman screws up in the neutral zone and it's a 2-on-0. And of course, the puck's gonna end up in the back of the net.
You're going to see that every time. I definitely think that there was no way you and I were playing goalie back growing up. There was just no way. We were not made to do it. And most people aren't. That's fine. It's fine that you're not meant to do that. And it's okay. And I guess I can't really think of anything else to close the segment on, but I do want to end on a positive note. Anything you want to discuss before I end this segment?
Nothing comes to mind other than thank you for having me. It's always a good time being able to join the podcast and talk hockey.
You're welcome. I think maybe we would talk. Maybe I'll talk about the like some alternate history one of these days of like what if this game was never invented? You know, and there's a million things that could have prevented this game from not being invented. I think. Okay. I think. All right. Do you want me? How about this? I'll save this upcoming segment next. I'll cut this out, and then we'll put something in the bonus episode for this, and we'll just talk about some alternate history. But that's going to be for paid members. You cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this will end the segment. If you want the bonus content, you're going to have to pay for it at rothsteina.substack.com. That's going to be for the paid members only. If you want me to hear what would happen on alternate history. All right. Take care and peace out.
You too.